Hello, Bill Molyneux here, and Nottingham Wargaming Group and Fast Play War Games. And once again, I'm at Mr. John's Gettysburg Miniature Shop in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, on Steinway Avenue. Well, in the War Game room, we have a massive 54 millimeter game, World War II, and this is an incredible setup. We're going to start, I guess, left to right, and I'll try not to pan the camera too fast. And John in Binghamton, New York, Mr. John has lots of cool stuff for you to purchase. And the detail he has in this game in 54 millimeter scale is incredible. Wow. What do we have here? The church tower. So the figures here, I can recognize some. They're all a lot of Aerofix, and I believe there's some Conti here. So we're this French village is under attack by the Red Devils. It looks like we have some British paratroopers. Mr. John has even included some furniture in these buildings. The detail of this game is incredible. I wish I lived in Gettysburg again when Mr. John ran these games. It was just always a lot of fun, and we always had a packed house here. So it looks like we have some Shermans and Fireflies coming across to save the day. And here we have a Churchill. Now I'm going to pause the video and get on the other side here. Alright, we're over here on the opposite side. We have a Cromwell tank, and we have some artillery support. Now the detail that Mr. John has in this game is incredible. Look at this. He's got men going through the building, unloading on their rubber rafts. Oh, a Panzerschreck. Mr. John actually has a Panzerschreck just laying there in the bunker. Well, as we move along, we have a trench line. Now here's the opposite side of this incredible church. I think this is a Conti. It's a Conti. Mr. John says it's a Conti. And Mr. John here and his son, John Jr., that run the shop here, they have just about everything you can imagine in the world of miniatures, collectibles, and wargaming stuff. So I'm going to pause the video here, and I'll do a little bit of the shop itself. This game is, I think, a 12-foot table. And we'll pause now. Alright, well this is a German point of view, and it looks, and Mr. John mentioned for me to do this, and it looks really cool. It's I wonder if my wife would be upset if I said we should move back from Baltimore, move back to Gettysburg, just to come here to play war games. Probably wouldn't go over too good. Now don't forget, Mr. John's Miniature Shop, it contains all kinds of great things. And I walked in today, and one of the niftiest things I saw, Mr. John's a proud supporter of my board games at Fast Play War Games, Schultz War Games, and everything else that I work on. And look at this. This is Struggle for New France, published by Schultz Games and printed by Blue Panther Printing. And it just came back into print this past week at Blue Panther Printing. And already Mr. John has a copy of Struggle for New France on the wall here. Interesting side note for Struggle for New France. I got the name for that from my dear friend Elwood Christ, Woody, famous historian of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and Woody wrote a book called The Struggle for the Bliss Farm. So when I was trying to come up of a name for my French Indian War game, he said, hey, use struggle for New France. And that's how the board game got its name. I'm always grateful. Woody was a great friend, and he did pass away in January of 2014. So as I pan along here, trying not to go too fast, we have an enormous amounts of HO scale figures. It's almost overwhelming of the things that Mr. John has here. PT boats. Now this paddle wheeler, I could see someone buying that in 1/63rd scale and probably converting it to be for a steamer for a Sudan game. Coming around the other side, this shop is huge, and you have to even look at the ceiling. Well, the last time we were here, we had one Stuart tank, but now there's two. And the second Stuart tank is fully remote control, and it shoots also. And that is for sale if you want to come and see Mr. John about the remote control Stuart tank. And he also has the static tank still. And his collectible figures are a mile long in both rooms. So I'll go over here and hit the 54mm plastics, which is primarily what I'm wargaming in. And I'll pause here. Alright, this is the 54mm wall of inexpensive plastics. And I had someone who left me a sort of a grumpy note that I panned this wall too quickly in the last video. One of the easier ways to purchase figures for Mr. John is to come to Gettysburg. But if you can't manage the drive, or you live overseas, like in Scotland, like Jim O'Neill, you can contact Mr. John online, email, and he could always box something up and mail it to you. So the amount of 54s he has here is incredible. I'm going to pause here. We're going to hit one more room and check out the other 54mm room. So this is a secondary room, and it has a lot of 54s. Many of these figures are old collectible marks and some old BMC stuff. Some of the figures here are from what he's purchased from collections from people, so they are painted, and then some are not. Over here we have, gosh, skeletons galore, fencing. It's just overwhelming of all the neat things Mr. John has at the old shop here. And I recently read on the Marks collectible play set that the World War II Battleground set was one of the best-selling play sets they produced. He has several here. I'm not sure. It looks like for display only. I don't know if all of them are for display, but you can always stop in and see Mr. John and check in and see what is for sale and what is for display purposes. Well, I'm going to pretty much say thank you for checking out my video of Mr. John's Gettysburg Miniature Shop. And we're going to close it out with a last view of some cool 54mm stuff. And you could spend all day in this. It's almost like a museum of toy soldiers. So it is always stay safe, be kind, life is short, and be courteous. And if you're in Gettysburg, stop at the Gettysburg Miniature Shop and Toy Soldiers on Steinwehr Avenue. Thank you.